Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. I am going to be using the little massage bar mold that I got. I found these on Amazon. They look like a nice depth. I'm going to be making little milk cow udder soaps, whatever you want to call them. I've seen a few people post them on Facebook and some of the groups I'm in, and I thought they were super cute, so that's what we're going to do today. I also am going to be using my ball mold as well. I have two of those that I've bought from Nurture Soap, and I really like using those in a lot of projects. So for the first step, I'm just going to take my white melt and pour soap base, which I believe this is a shea butter base that I have, and kind of melt it down. And then once it's melted down, I'm going to be using the oat and honey from Nurture Soap, and this one is just like the soap that I use for the oatmeal soap. I'm just going to put a couple spoonfuls at a time in there, and then add the coloring as well to get the pink color for the udders on the bottom of the soap mold. I've also had the idea of adding just a little bit of this white soap to the actual balls, so that like when I add the black to these balls as well, it's going to kind of give it a staggered look, and I'm hoping it comes out right. We're going to see in the final result. I haven't even unmolded them yet. They are still setting up in the mold as I'm recording the video, so we'll see what works. Like I said, I just poured a little bit of the white to start off with in each little cavity. Some had a little bit more than others, and it's just kind of an experiment to see what's going to work for this. Once I've got it started in a few of the cavities, I'm just going to kind of set that aside and let that start sitting up. And then I'm going to take the remainder of that and I'm going to add the pink pigment or the pink mica to the white soap, so we can start putting that in the other mold. I want those to kind of set up, excuse me, at the same time, because I know that this soap has a lot of setup stages, and when we're doing a soap like this anyway, since it's going to have layers, it's best to kind of just go ahead and get the bottom layer of the soap started and ready to go. I originally only wanted to do about 4 cavities, but I had a little bit extra when I measured this out, so I kind of was just going with it. Again, it's just an experiment. I'm just showing you guys a tutorial. If you've done a milk cow soap, I want you to leave a little cow emoji down in the comments, and then tell me what you do the same or differently, and give us tips on what you know, you guys have to improve this sort of technique. Again, I just thought it's cute. It's not an original idea to me. I've just seen others do it. So once all that pink was kind of poured into the molds, I went ahead and melted down about 2 ounces of clear glycerin, and I'm going to be using an activated charcoal color block. You can buy these from several different suppliers. I do make my own color blocks. If you guys are interested in, I'll put a link in the description to my Etsy store. I apologize, I don't currently have my Etsy store up right now. I'm just low on supplies, and I've got a lot of things going on, but hopefully by the end of the month I can get my Etsy store up and running again, and you guys can purchase color blocks if that's something you're interested in. But anyway, I just cut off a little bit of this, and then I let it melt into the soap. This is made from activated charcoal. I think it's better than using a color dye so that the colors won't bleed, and I don't really have any black pigmented mica. The one that I have is like so glitter based that I don't think it would work well. The other reason why I like using color blocks though is so that the color like evenly disperses and you don't have a lot of chunks in your soap of like the mica or whatever you're adding inside the soap, so you can kind of see how that's melting. So I also started out with the other cavity mold that I didn't already have soap in, and I'm kind of doing the opposite, and I'm putting some of the black melt and pour soap in there because I want the spots on the soap, the little milk cow spots, to look like basically just staggered throughout the soap. So hopefully how this is vision in my head is going to come out amazing in the end. We all know it's really hard to do that, but we'll see what it looks like. Again, leave comments below how you do yours because I'm curious. So once everything was poured in these little cavity molds, I usually wait about 4 hours before I pop them out. Some of those I did not fill all the way to the brim of the mold, so I just went ahead and popped them out so that again we can get a staggered look. And then I started scoring my soap. I scored the pink part of the soap as well as the little black balls, And if the soap looks a little gunky and gooey on the screen here, it's because I actually kind of had a little family emergency come up while I was making this soap, and I didn't do it all on the same day like I originally intended, and it sat out a little bit. And my house, like, sometimes it gets a little humid, and the last few days it's been humid here. So I just wiped it off, and I'm hoping everything still turns out well. Now here's a few close-up shots of the little balls, as you can see, with the white poured at the top, and like how the different look is of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of these in the mold. I kind of played around with them to get them to fit in there the best way that I thought would get the look that I was kind of going for. I just kind of wanted it to be so that you would see this throughout the soap. So we're not, again, we'll see how it comes out once I pop it out. I'm excited. And I actually went ahead and added a little bit more fragrance oil to this white portion of the soap, and then I went ahead and made sure it was stirred in and fully incorporated. If you're new to melt and pour soap making, it is recommended that you stir the fragrance oil in for about a minute just to make sure that it fully incorporates, because sometimes you will get like little pockets of oil in there. I've seen it happen one time. It's not super frequent that it's happened, but just letting you guys know that if you're pretty new to soap making. So I just went ahead and placed the rest of these in the soap mold as best as I could. And then I waited for that the rest of that white soap base I had to kind of cool down so I can start pouring it. I wanted to keep it as cool as I could so it wouldn't melt the activated charcoal parts, because that will kind of give it a weird look. But I mean, who knows, it might actually be kind of cool, but it's not the look we're going for today. So try to pour at cool temps. I also, at the last few, kind of realized that some of these little embeds were sliding around as I was pouring. So the last two molds, I just poured a little bit at the end and kind of let that set up while I melted down some more melt and pour soap, so they didn't move around as much. So I'm hoping that those last two, like the little embeds, are actually in the spot that we want them on the soap and not floating around in the soap. So that's one other thing I want to see the difference of when I pull them out of the mold, is if the embed stayed in the correct spot. Okay, so after I spritz those down with rubbing alcohol, I'm just going to let them sit overnight. And I did notice that the next morning when I pulled this up, I had a little bit of glycerin dew on the top, as you guys can see. It's just basically, they look like little crystals on top of your soap. You can basically just wipe them off. A lot of people say it comes from overheating, but it's really humid around here and in our house. So I think that's more or less why we got glycerin dew. But these are the soaps as I'm pulling them out of the mold. I think they do look okay, and I did notice the ones where I only poured a little bit of the melt and pour soap in with the embeds, like the embeds stayed closer to the edge of the mold. Still not 100% how I wanted it, but it does look better. So what I ended up doing is I tried on this one, I took my little peeler and I peeled off some of the soap and tried to see if it would, you know, show those colors a little bit more of the embeds, but it didn't. So I decided to just take a paintbrush and some rubbing alcohol and kind of paint on the side of these little soaps, little spots for the spots, you know, that would resemble spots on a cow. The one thing I will say about this though is that it is rubbing alcohol and activated charcoal, so it probably will rub off pretty easy. So I would recommend once this dries a little bit, which it only takes, you know, 5 to 10 minutes, to go ahead and wrap your soaps up. That way the activated charcoal doesn't smear around so much. I just kind of painted where the spots were. I didn't like the indent, so I didn't do that anywhere else. And then anywhere where like white soap was sticking up, I just went ahead and painted it so that it would look a little bit more intentional rather than it just being weird. And if, not that I'm going to sell these, but if a customer was to buy them, I think they would be like, why is there just like a bubble on top of the soap? So I just tried to hide that a little bit. I think these came out okay. I would like to know like what you guys do for the spots. I think I've seen a few people, they just use like additional melt and pour. I wasn't really sure how to do that. Maybe if you just don't fill the mold up all the way and use a dropper, that might be one way. But leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of these soaps. leave a cow emoji if you're still watching, and let me know if you have any tips or a better way to do this, because again, I like hearing your guys' ideas. You always have something good. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.